Today, we are cracking open a framework that is, well, just so effective, but also deceptively simple. We're talking about James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Yeah, and our mission today is pretty profound, really. It's about how to stop chasing these huge, overwhelming results.
Exactly. And instead, understand the physics of how these tiny, almost invisible changes can lead to just massive growth over time. We're giving you the shortcut to building better systems for your life.
And we should probably start with the math because it immediately hooks you. This isn't just, some fluffy self-help idea. It's basically compound interest for your behavior.
Right.
Think about it like this. If you just get 1% better every single day, just 1%.
Seems so small.
It is. But by the end of the year, you are not just a bit better. You are 37 times better than when you started.
37 times. That number is staggering.
Yeah.
And that 1% idea, it's so freeing, right?
Yeah.
It takes away all the pressure of having to make some giant leap overnight.
It does.
But, okay, here's the puzzle that I think everyone faces, and you listening probably do too. If the math is so simple, so motivating, why do we all start strong in January and then, fail by March?
Well, that's the critical failure point the book identifies. We have the motivation, but we're aiming at the wrong target.
What do you mean?
The common mistake is to say something like, I have to lose 10 kilograms, or I'm going to write a whole novel this year.
Those are goals, outcomes.
Exactly. They're large, specific outcomes. And that's actually the shallowest place to put your focus. It's the least effective.
Okay, so let's unpack that, because this feels like the foundation for everything else in the book.
Yeah.
There's this hierarchy Clear lays out. Goals are the top layer, the results, but they're two deeper layers.
Yeah.
The second layer is the system, the actual process. But what's that third deepest layer? Because the book argues it's the most critical one of all.
That deepest layer, the bedrock, is identity. This is where real permanent change actually happens. So if you focus on systems, you're changing what you do. But if you focus on identity, you are changing who you are.
So the actions you take are literally shaping the person you're becoming.
Precisely. The whole point of the 4 laws we're about to get into is to build and then cement that new core identity.
So the shift is from I want to get a result to I want to become a certain type of person. That's a huge mental shift.
It's everything.
If we build the identity, the results just sort of happen. They're a byproduct.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do that? If systems are the key, we need the blueprint.
Absolutely. And the blueprint is this framework, the 4 simple laws of behavior change. It's a toolkit, really, a psychological toolkit for engineering your life to make the right choices the easy choices.
Okay, let's start with the first one, the trigger. Law number 1 is make it obvious. What's the mechanism here?
Well, every habit starts with a cue, a trigger. It tells your brain to go into automatic mode. So to build a good habit, you have to make that cue completely visible, unavoidable even.
Right. If the cue is hidden, the habit basically doesn't exist.
You've got it.
The classic example is putting your gym clothes out the night before. But the book goes so much deeper into this idea of environment design. This is where it gets really insightful.
Yes, because the insight is that our willpower is weak. Our environment is what really dictates our decisions. We just react to what's visible and easy.
Which brings us to that hospital cafeteria study.
The best example. They wanted to sell more water and fewer sugary drinks.
And what do? No big ad campaign?
Nothing like that. They put more water bottles in every single fridge, and they moved the sodas to less obvious spots.
The results are incredible, right?
Phenomenal. Water sales shot up by over 50% in just a few months, all because the cue, the water bottle, was the first thing you saw. It tells you we don't choose the healthy option because we're suddenly virtuous. We choose it because it's the most obvious option.
That's powerful. It's about fixing the environment, not fixing the person. But what if you can't control your environment, like you're in a dorm room or a small shared office?
Great question. And when you can't change the physical space, you use a technique called an implementation intention.
So you write it down.
You write down exactly when and where the action will happen. It turns a vague goal into a really strong cue for your brain.
So instead of just, I'll exercise later, it's at 7 a.m., I will do 15 minutes of yoga in my living room.
That specificity is the trigger. It links the new habit to an existing time or place. All the mental friction just disappears.
Okay, so we've made the habit obvious, we've got the cue, but let's be real. A lot of obvious habits are still things we dread doing. Which brings us to law number 2. Make it attractive.
Exactly. Our brains are wired for immediate reward. Good habits like exercise, saving money, Their rewards are way off in the future.
Weeks, months, years away.
So we have to find a way to attach those instant dopamine hits to these delayed reward tasks.
And the technique for that is temptation bundling. How does that work in practice?
You couple something you need to do with something you really want to do. The joy from the want activity sort of bleeds over onto the need activity.
The classic example is, I'll only listen to my favorite podcast.
Yeah, if I'm on the treadmill.
Right. You stop thinking, ugh, I have to go for a walk, and you start thinking, great, I get to listen to my podcast. It completely reframes the task.
And Law 2 also gets into the power of social influence. If the people around you are all doing something, that thing just becomes more attractive by default.
So you need to find your tribe. Join a group where your desired habit is just the norm.
It accelerates everything. You're getting social rewards for the very behavior you're trying to build.
Okay, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
So the system is obvious, it's attractive, but that last hurdle, for me anyway, is just starting, the inertia. The task feels too big. That must be Law 3. Make it easy.
It is. The barrier isn't usually motivation, it's the size of the task. The solution here is brilliant. It's the 2-minute rule.
Shrink it down.
Shrink any new habit into a version that takes 2 minutes or less.
So instead of read a book, it's read one page.
Mhm.
Instead of clean the house, it's wipe down one counter.
Or instead of do yoga, the goal is just roll out the yoga mat.
But, and this is the key insight, right? The goal isn't to finish the main task. It's just to start.
That's it. That 2-minute action is a gateway. Once the mat is out, once the shoes are on, you're much more likely to keep going. You're building the identity of a person who starts.
You're casting that vote.
Mhm.
A small daily vote for being a healthy person or reader. The starting part is the main goal.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you're starting consistently, how do you keep going when the results aren't there yet? That's the final law. Make it satisfying. We have to bridge that gap.
We repeat what's immediately rewarded and we stop what's immediately punished. Good habits, their payoff is delayed. You don't get a six-pack the day after you go to the gym.
So how do we inject that immediate satisfaction?
The main technique is habit tracking. You need a tangible, immediate reward. Using a calendar and just putting a big X on the day you did the thing that provides instant gratification.
Ah, the don't break the chain idea. Seeing that chain of X's grow is so motivating, it becomes its own reward.
It does. But what happens when you miss a day? Because you will.
What's the rule for recovery?
The rule is simple. Never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new bad habit. Getting back on track the very next day reinforces your identity as someone who is committed, even when you slip up.
That's a crucial piece of advice. Okay, so we've built the system for good habits. Now let's flip it. How do we break bad ones?
We just run the same 4 laws in reverse. It's the inversion of the 4 laws.
So law 1 was make it obvious. The inversion is make it invisible.
Eliminate the cue. If you snack mindlessly, get the junk food out of the house. If you're on your phone too much, put the phone in another room while you work. No cue, no habit.
Inversion 2, make it attractive becomes make it unattractive. This seems harder for things like smoking or endless scrolling.
It's a mental shift. You have to actively remind your brain of the long-term pain. Write down all the negative consequences and look at that list whenever you feel the urge. You're connecting the action to the pain, not the pleasure.
Inversion 3, make it easy becomes make it difficult. Increase the friction.
A lot of friction. So instead of just deleting a social media app, you change the password to something impossible to remember, write it on a piece of paper, and lock that paper in a drawer in another room.
Wow, so to log in, you have to go through this whole physical ordeal.
And your brain is lazy by design. It'll just give up and choose the easier path, which is to not log in.
And finally, inversion 4, make it satisfying becomes make it unsatisfying.
You have to introduce an immediate consequence. And this is where an accountability partner is just so critical.
You make a contract.
You make a contract. If I skip the gym this week, I owe you $50. The immediate pain of losing money or just the social shame outweighs the pleasure of being lazy.
It makes the consequence immediate, which is the only thing the brain really understands.
Sounds like.
So this whole system, all 4 laws and their inversions, it feels so mechanical.
Yeah.
But let's tie it all back to where we started, to identity, because that's what makes it a philosophy, not just a set of tricks.
Absolutely. The tricks help with the process, but the real change, the permanent change, is internal. It's that identity layer.
Okay, so let's dig into the difference between saying, I'm trying to quit smoking versus I'm a non-smoker.
The first person is still their old self, fighting an urge. The behavior feels like a restriction. The second person has already changed who they are.
So when they're offered a cigarette, the first one says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit.
But the second one says, no thanks, I don't smoke. The identity just dictates the behavior. There's no internal battle.
That's so powerful. And this brings us back to that vote metaphor.
The vote metaphor is maybe the most important idea in the whole book. Every single action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
So reading one page today is one vote for being a reader.
Doing one push-up is one vote for being an athletic person. And, scrolling on your phone for an hour is a vote for being a distracted person.
It demystifies the whole process. You don't just magically become a runner when you cross a finish line. You become a runner by casting all those little votes, day after day. The 1% improvements are the votes.
They are the construction of your new identity.
So the goal isn't just running the marathon, it's becoming the runner.
Yeah.
And when your behavior and your identity are aligned, it's not a chore anymore. It's just you being you.
You move past needing motivation. You're just expressing who you are.
What a framework. Okay, so to sum up this deep dive, it's about embracing that 1% daily improvement, using the 4 laws, obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying build your systems, and using every action as a vote for who you want to be.
And as a final thought for you to explore, we mentioned the accountability partner, especially for making bad habits unsatisfying. But think about this. We usually try to change in secret, right? We want to hide until we have the big reveal, the big result.
Which makes it really easy to fail in private.
Exactly. So here's the question. How much more powerful, how much more permanent would your transformation be if you stopped making it a private struggle and made it a shared journey, where your success and your failures are seen and acknowledged by someone who holds you accountable? That shift from secrecy to a shared effort, that might just be the final piece you need to make all these atomic changes stick for good.